The SAT this year is adding an essay to the SAT. So you'll be required to write an essay, and in this section we're going to discuss that. The first section you encounter with the new SAT is going to be the essay. You'll be given 25 minutes to write it. Now don't panic. 25 minutes is longer than you think. And in a few minutes we're going to go over how to spend that 25 minutes most effectively. How effective the scoring is on this test is one of the uncertainties this year. Now the College Board says that the graders are going to be grading it holistically, meaning that supposedly they won't count off for handwriting, spelling, and punctuation. We can't take that for granted. So be careful with your spelling, be careful with your punctuation, and be careful with your handwriting. Make it as legible as possible. Again, we'll address that in a few minutes. Now, the essay will have a score range of 0 to 6. And this will be added to your writing skills score, and they'll come up with a formula for giving you a total score. The one thing that makes this essay crucial, we believe, is the colleges are going to see them. The College Board has been able to market these to colleges so that colleges have the right to see them online, and you can guarantee that they're going to use those for admissions purposes. They'll compare the essays written under 25-minute constraints with the polished essays they get with applications. So that's one principal reason we are really going to put some emphasis on this essay. In examining previous AP essays and SAT-2 essays, it's quite evident length impresses the scorers. So use the entire space you're given. Now that doesn't mean that you need to put in a whole lot of padding and useless phrases. It doesn't mean you need to make your lettering extra large or anything like that. It just means be aware that you have plenty of space and use it. When you change paragraphs, indent. Don't skip a line to indicate a paragraph change. Indent. That's what they want to see. Vocabulary usage can be a little bit dicey. You don't want to use words unless you're certain of their meaning, because using one incorrectly can be the kiss of death. From looking at essays and handwriting, I know handwriting can be a problem. So make every effort to make your writing legible. If it necessitates printing, you may have to resort to that. But make sure they can read your words. It's crucial that you pre-write your essay. You've got about 5 minutes to pre-write. During this time, you want to think about the topic. Take about 2 minutes to brainstorm. Now, you want to look at as many viewpoints as you can. You want to bring in as much diversity of thought as you can to the essay. So brainstorm like heck. You can weed out the thoughts you don't want. You can weed out the extraneous thoughts when you're organizing the essay. Now, when you're doing your thinking and your organizing, you want to recognize what the argument is in the argument. See if you can determine the point of view you want to take, and decide on the view that you are going to take and present in your essay. During this 5 minutes, then, you want to organize your thoughts. Think about your introduction. Think about the body and the statements you're going to make. Think about the evidence you could bring in to support your argument. Let's look at the prompt you're going to receive. Now the prompt is going to be keying you into an argument, to taking a side of a position. Usually it's going to be preceded by an excerpt from a novel, an excerpt from an essay. At any rate, there'll be a mildly thought-provoking statement there to get a little bit of a reaction out of you. But the key to the prompt, the key to your argument, must be to focus on the specific prompts that are given. For instance, can success be disastrous? Do we need other people in order to understand ourselves? Should heroes be defined as people who say what they think when we ourselves lack the courage to say it? As you look at some other examples, be aware that attacking the argument itself, while kind of attractive, isn't going to be a recommended way to get a good score. So focus on the argument that you want to develop in response to this prompt. Take one side or the other and defend it. The prompt will be followed with the instructional phrase, Plan and write an essay in which you develop your point of view on this issue. Support your position with reasoning and examples taken from your reading, studies, experience, or observations. And that's just what you do need to do. You need to plan, then you write the essay, and you're going to develop your point of view using examples to support it. Okay, now let's look at how you're going to develop your argument. Your introduction is crucial. You know what we say about first impressions? Well, this is your chance to give the reader a first impression of you. This is where you're going to show the reader why they should be interested in continuing. This is where you're getting their attention. This is where you're telling them what's to come. First, you want to clearly identify the issue. Now, you can do this sometimes by restating the claim or the prompt, but a better way to do it is to see if you can restate it while also giving your viewpoint. Let them know the argument you're going to make. Then you're going to follow this with your thesis statement. Now, your thesis statement is going to be very clear. Your thesis statement makes it perfectly apparent to the reader what your stance is and where you're going to take this argument. If it's relevant, you can also, in your introduction, provide background information. Maybe give a reason why this argument is particularly pertinent to you or to the reader. You want to be sure and define any terms that are going to be used in the argument. In other words, if your stance is unclear in any way, this is the time you clarify what your argument is. The key thing you want to do with your introduction is make your stance very clear and get the reader's attention. This is where you hook them. Believe me, this is where you have the opportunity to have them on your side from the start. Making your position on the argument quite clear and evident. The body of the passage should follow your introduction. These 3 paragraphs should follow the classic format. You want to make your claim, and then you're going to want to support that claim with reasons and with evidence. Now, the evidence can be fact or opinion. In either case, it must be supported in a logical fashion. Be sure when you're supporting this that you don't stray from the topic. You want to relate all your examples, all your reasons, all your evidence to your thesis statement, which is support, clarify, and add to your overall argument. Try to incorporate emotional and logical appeals with the reasons and evidence you're giving. You want to try to clarify the need or value. Try to make the reader feel your argument, feel the reasoning behind your argument. The sign of a skilled writer is being able to acknowledge opposing viewpoints. Now, this can be a little tricky, but it will score you points if you can acknowledge opposing viewpoints, whether or not you accommodate them, even giving them their due, or refuting them. You need to acknowledge the presence of opposing viewpoints. It's a sign of a good writer. Other than concluding your essay, you want to do 3 things with your conclusion. First, you want to remind them of your claim. So you want a restatement of your claim, a restatement of your argument. Then you want to recall all the support for that argument. You want to make the reader remember the evidence and support you had for that argument that made it such a strong argument. And then if you can, you want to make a final appeal. The final appeal can be a call to action. The final appeal can be something emotional. But the final appeal should leave the reader with a great last impression for your argument and for your writing and for your essay as a complete, skilled piece of writing.